now that I've got my character's eyes started, I think I'm going to do a little bit of face detail on him. Oh, I'm going to make a new paint layer. This one will be called Shadows, and I'm going to set it to a multiply. Just going to pick a brush. I think I'll pick one of these painty brushes. I like those ones. And I want to paint only base color, so I'm going to alt-click on color, select only the base color, and I'm going to pick sort of a bluish color. This will be some nice shadows on my character. So I want to give him some forehead wrinkles, I think. Too strong. Let's crank that down. About 15% or so. A bit of a softer brush. Turn down the opacity a little bit. So I've got a bit of an older character, so I'm going to give him some forehead wrinkles. Now don't forget, there is pen pressure. Always forget to turn that on myself, so. So there's pen pressure for the size and for the flow, if you want to use that. Turn his beard off for a minute. And rotate my light by holding Shift and the right mouse click. Or tablet click in my case. Get that inside of the ear. I think I might turn this up a little bit more, maybe 20% or so. Get under the neck. Really just like Photoshop, once you get all the bakes done. Now I think my character is going to be wearing a shirt later on, so I'm not going to worry about drawing in collarbones or anything like that. Let's turn that hair back on. He looks a little weird all shaved. Okay. Now I think I'm going to give him a little bit of a little blush. So let's make another paint layer. Blush. And I think I'm just going to turn down the opacity on this about 50%. Change my color. Just a little bit of a blush here. I think I'm going to see if I can find a nice airbrush. I don't think I want cement. Let's see if there's like a soft Kyle here. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, try that. That's a bit too strong. Let's turn down that opacity. Just give him a bit of color in his cheeks. I can always turn down this layer if I feel as though it's too much. And I do think it's a bit too much, so about 30%. Just to give him a little color. Color in the nose. There we go. Now, one thing you might want to keep in mind is the color zones of the face. If you've ever done any like traditional painting, you might know about that. Let me just open up an example here. So this is the color zones of the face. People have studied this, and if you add it on as a little bit of an overlay layer, it can add a lot of life to your character. So let's try that. Now this isn't mandatory, just a thought. It might help make your character look a bit more alive. So my character has a light skin tone, so I'm going to take a yellow, put that on the forehead. We'll see if it helps. It might not. We'll see. There's a little yellow on the bridge of the nose here. Let's get that mustache out of the way. Tiny bit under here. And then we need a red color, or pinkish. I know this looks like a lot, but once we turn it to overlay, it won't be quite as harsh. Let's get the nose area. Looks like the whole nose will be red in this case. And now let's get the blue. So that looks like under the eye here. Under the nose. Using a bit of a soft brush. Okay, and now let's set this to overlay. Sorry, it's on my other monitor, the menu. Overlay. And turn it down to about 10%. You can see it's very subtle, but it makes a bit of a difference. Get that hair back on. Now I think one more thing we're going to do is lips. Okay, let's pick a color for his lips. Taking a look at my reference on my other screen. I think I'll definitely have to turn down the opacity on these. He's not wearing lipstick, though if your character is wearing lipstick, feel free to have it as dark as you please. I think I'm just going to change to more of an airbrush. Just get the gradient, turn that way down. Get a bit of a gradient there. And I'm going to turn this all the way down. Oh, that looks okay. Now for my hair, I'm going to start off with a fill layer. And the base color of that will be my character's base hair color. There we go, nice and brown. A little bit of a baking error here, but I'm going to be doing hair curves later anyway, so that doesn't matter too much. However, I don't want his hair looking like plastic, so I'm going to take that roughness and turn it all the way up, about there. See how that looks. That looks better. Now let's make a paint layer above. Shadows. I'm going to use this to paint in some shadows on his hair. Let's set this to a multiply. Sorry, the menu's on my other monitor. I'm going to do about 50% or so. And I'm going to pick color. Let's do a dark blue for the multiply. And I'm just going to paint in these nooks and crannies. And some definition on my feller's mustache. Turn it down a little bit. There's softer brush. Nice. Rotating my light. There we go. I'm not going to bother with the beard, as I think he's going to mainly have hair curves on the beard. There we go, happy with that. Now let's do another paint layer. This time will be highlights. We're going to do the exact reverse opposite of a multiply layer. In this case, I think I'm going to try a linear dodge add layer. I already know from experience you need to have this quite low. And for the color, I'll pick a lighter brown. Okay, that's not too harsh. Actually, in this fellow's case, I think I would prefer, as he has a cooler skin tone, or hair tone? Is that a word? I don't know. I want more of a cooler color anyway. Nope, too bright. Maybe blue-gray. That is still too bright. Maybe a purpley. That's better, that's the color I want. Now, I'm not aiming for realism for this character, so I don't mind if it looks a little cartoony. There, that's the sort of color I was looking for. I didn't want it to be a warm-toned hair. There, that's looking how I want it to. There we are. Now let's turn those off. Turn them back on. You can see the difference it makes. One more thing I think I'll do is add in a few gray hairs. So I got a bit of an older character. He's got a bit of gray. Color drop that. Just a few gray hairs. There should be some hairbrushes down here somewhere if you want to use those. Depends what effect you're going for. Oh yeah, here's some Kyle brushes here you can feel free to use. Let's pick this sparse one. Let's see what this gets us. Oh, perfect, actually. I might just go at this with the eraser. And a few on his wig as well. Now I'm going to actually turn off the symmetry, because nobody's hair is perfectly symmetrical. Let's go to erase away a few of these gray hairs. Want to keep things asymmetrical. Just a nice subtle effect. There we go. I want just a few gray hairs on the eyebrows here. Just to add a little something to it. And I think I'll do just a few on his wig. And then I'll erase these, make them more subtle. This will be mostly covered up by his hair curves, but just want a few. Oops. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that.